Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about critical thinking and skills and what children in other countries are learning versus what they're learning in the United States. We're talking about how that's going to prepare them. And we're going to talk about the impression that it's leaving with some people who are viewing these clips. And we're going to talk about science kits, toys, and realities. We're going to do this because I got a message, and it provides a good jumping off point for this. Bo, you talk about how people should be self-reliant. You talk about how people should have skills. You've said nothing about all the videos circulating of children in foreign countries learning how to assemble and disassemble weapons in class. This has to bother you. Our kids are learning about CRT. Their kids are learning how to be warriors. If we're moving into a, quote, near-peer contest, as you always say, we should keep up. You have nothing to say about that? Oh, I have plenty to say about that. Tons. Recently, I got a kit for my kids. It's put out by Discovery, I think. It's an engine. It's a plastic engine. And if you put it together and you do it right, you plug it in, it works. Pistons go up and down. The things that would be the spark plugs light up. Like, it's really cool. It's like, I don't know, $25, something like that. My kids sat around the dining room table and put this thing together. And they learned a lot about mechanics while doing it. And they did it right. Plugged it in, and it started right up, and they were really excited about it. When they were finished, they were not mechanics. They certainly weren't race car drivers. Before we get too far into this and to the real point, I do want to point something out just for the sake of clarity. If you don't know, there are a whole bunch of clips that are circulating right now within a certain segment of the American population. And that is what it shows. It shows kids basically field stripping a weapon in class. And it has unnerved some people. We don't have anything like that in the U.S. Our kids don't learn that. I want to point out that a lot, not all, but a lot of those clips are from special programs that exist in their schools. I don't know, if we had them in the United States, we'd probably call them, JROTC, or the Scouts. We have stuff like that in the U.S. It's a little different, but same premise. But that's neither here nor there. What are they learning when they're doing that, when they're creating these films and these students are doing that? What are they actually doing? They're learning how to field strip a weapon that is world-renowned for being ridiculously simple. That's why it's famous. Because it's so simple, it's super reliable. What does it really take to do it? What? Let's see, you remove the magazine, pull back the bolt, visually inspect the chamber, let it slide forward, hit the button on the back, remove the cover, push forward, yank it out. If you're getting real fancy with it, you're going to remove the block up front. And it can be done about as fast as I explained it. This is not complex. This does not make someone a warrior. Our kids in the U.S. end up learning the difference between cover and concealment in grade school. That's not a good thing. The U.S. has enough hyper-nationalism and wartime mentality. It doesn't need more. More importantly, learning how to field strip a weapon does not make you a warrior. Kids would probably learn more about things that were actually applicable to warfare, playing with erector sets or Lego bricks. If you want to be a warrior, you need to be able to critically think. And if you can critically think about any subject, you can critically think about any subject. It's a transferable skill. If you knew how to critically think, you might realize that running across an open field towards a hardened target is a really bad idea. You might realize that turning on your phone when the opposition is using it to locate you because you want to post a pic to Telegram that makes you look like a warrior is a really bad idea. You might realize you need infantry screens. I want to point out that there are tens of thousands of Russians who went through something like that and learned how to do that in school, who you can't ask if it made them effective at being a warrior because they went to Ukraine and they're not talking anymore. If they had spent time learning how to critically think, they'd probably be a lot better off because they can learn how to field strip a weapon in 15 minutes. When you talk about CRT, it's worth noting that some of Russia's biggest failures is because they didn't understand the mindset in Ukraine. They didn't understand systems of injustice. They actually believed that there were going to be Ukrainians on their side. They believed that they were going to help in large numbers. If you are dropped at an airport that you believe you're going to be meeting friendlies at and you meet opposition, it doesn't matter whether or not you can field strip your rifle because you're not going to be cleaning it. The person who took it off you is. If you want to create warriors, you have to teach people to critically think. And the fact that propaganda, obvious propaganda, is striking fear into the hearts of Americans shows that there is a lacking of critical thinking. It's worth remembering that anywhere the United States goes, it has to establish a rapport with locals, with people in that country. Systems of injustice all over the world, they're not the same, but they rhyme. Same basic premise. Select a group, keep them down, stack the deck against them. Understanding how it works in the United States makes it really easy to understand how it works in other countries. Now, to be clear, this isn't the reason that you should want your children to understand systemic injustice. That's not the reason you should want it. But if you are that far into that hyper-nationalism militancy, then whatever it takes. Because if they learn it, they won't be. They'll understand that nationalism is politics for basic people. No, I do not think that children should be learning how to field strip weapons in class. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's far more important for them to understand how to critically think about systems of injustice, about technology, about the environment. Because if you do that and you're effective at it, and we move to a system that is more cooperative rather than competitive, they're not going to need to field strip a weapon. And sending people who in their late teens or early 20s into another country and thinking they're warriors because they know how to field strip a weapon is appalling. That doesn't make you a warrior. It's a show. It's propaganda, and it's working. Some of Russia's greatest failures was because their troops, their commanders, cannot critically think. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.